Hiya, teacher friends. Let's talk about some new functions on iTalki that I really like and some suggestions I have for iTalki to make these changes in the future. Now, I say new at the risk of sounding like a dinosaur. Well, I do a lot of things at the risk of sounding like a dinosaur, but a lot of these changes probably aren't so new. They were probably implemented a while ago, but these are new in the sense that they have been put in place in the time that I have been on iTalki. So in the last year and a half, 2 years. Yeah. So let's dive into them. Here are five additions to iTalki that I actually like. The first one is that they've added Zoom. Even though I don't have like a Zoom classroom or anything like that. I think it's good for some other teachers. I think it's practical and convenient. Zoom is always my backup. My go-to is Skype. Sometimes I use Google Hangouts. But if there's a problem, I'll just send an ad hoc lesson invitation and I'm good to go. So I think it's good that italki has these options for teachers, and come to think of it, it would be good for them to actually add more options if any teachers have other platforms that they would like to use. But for me, what they have on there is definitely more than enough. Another new function I really like is they have this automatic message that you could send to students. So after you have your student has taken a class, for example, there's this panel at the bottom of your homepage, and it allows you to send a message. It's kind of like an advertisement to send a message to your student, and they have these automatic messages that you could send, so you don't even have to type it out if you're lazy like me. And it could just say, "Hi, so and so. I had a great time meeting you. Thank you for choosing me. Hope to see you again." And that's it. And it kind of hurts for me to actually type that out because it seems a little, for me, it feels a little bit desperate. But I think that it's okay. Some students need a little bit of a push. You'd be surprised by the students who I've reached out to months after they've taken their last lesson with me, just to see how they're doing, not to try to get another lesson, just to see how they're doing. And some of these students have just booked another lesson. They're like, "I've been thinking about taking English class for a while, but I just haven't gone around to it. Thank you for reminding me." So the fact that italki has this panel that kind of reminds you, they also have reminders of when a package is expiring. Yeah. There's a whole list of things. You'll find it on your homepage. And I think that these are really useful. They're very convenient as well. They help to give the teacher and the student a bit of a push. Another thing I think is really useful are the webinars, because one thing I really disliked about italki was the lack of professional development on there for teachers, and to allow teachers to kind of get together in conference. I think this is just brilliant. I've sat in on a couple of them, and yeah, I think it's just an excellent opportunity for teachers to learn more. So that's definitely worth checking out. Another thing I like that italki has added in, definitely in the last few months, is that you could now set up your settings so that students could send a request for a lesson, not just for 12 hours in advance, but 6 hours or 2 hours. That is super cool, because when I started on italki, it was only 12 hours. So, for example, if a student wanted to take a lesson with me this afternoon, they wouldn't be able to, or they wouldn't be able to book it on italki. They'd have to book it 12 hours or more in the future. Now they could do it 2 hours, as little as 2 hours. That is so useful to teachers and students. I can't believe it took this long to throw it in, but I think that's fantastic. The only problem with this is that you could run into problems if you're not checking your italki too much. So I'd say use this with care. For me, I still set my calendar for 12 hours, but sometimes when I see that I have a little bit of space, I'll throw it on for 6 hours. Um, One more thing that I like that iTalki has implemented, it's that they have this little practice icon. This is actually for students. So you could click this little light bulb in the top right corner and it will give you different questions just to help you practice. And I think that's super convenient because when I started on iTalki as a student long ago, they, it was just a community. So you had to go onto the forum, and even the filters on the forum and just the organization is better for me than it was before, even though I don't use it as much anymore. But definitely, I welcome your feedback as well. If you're watching this, to tell me what you think down in the comments below. Now, on to the things that I wish they would implement. The first, it seems very nitpicky, but you could book a lesson in 30-minute increments, right? So you could book it at 2 o'clock, 2:30, 3 o'clock, 3:30, yada, yada. I'd like for it to be in 15-minute increments. And the reason why is because sometimes I have a 45-minute lesson and I would like to fill up that next 15 minutes. But unfortunately, the next student cannot book until 15 minutes after that at the hour mark. Yeah, this could help some teachers who want a break. But I think you could equally, if there are 15-minute increments, a teacher could equally book off different slots for 15 minutes wherever they want to. So for me, I would prefer there to be 15-minute increments so I could fill out my calendar as much as possible. And also afford myself some time and space in between. For example, maybe I don't want to take a 30-minute lesson. Let's say a 30-minute a break. Let's say I have a class from 1 to 2, from 2 to 3, and then I want a break after that. But I don't want to take it off from 3 to 3:30, maybe just 3 to 3:15. I think that would work for me. Yep. I'd like for there to be some sort of pre-lesson testing system. I saw this on Preply. This is one thing I really liked about Preply, that they had the students like fill out this kind of test when they first started, and you could go over the test with them. You could go over the activity with them. I thought this was really cool. So you could you have something to do with your students in the first lesson. Now, I think that's more necessary on Preply, partially because they have 60-minute trial lessons. So maybe for trial lessons on iTalki for 30 minutes, it's not as necessary, and I totally get that. Again, for me, it's completely fine because I have all of my trial lessons planned out. But for teachers who are just getting started, this could help them feel at ease. And for students who are just getting started, this could also make them feel at ease. You're on the same page. You know what you're going to be diving into in the trial lesson. I think that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, also, sometimes I would like to see the cost of each individual lesson, just where the lesson is. So, for example, after I complete a lesson, the student confirms it, I confirm it, blah blah blah. You could see it in the statement in the teacher wallet. Yeah. But it doesn't show you which lesson it's actually for. Of course, it has the ID, but then you have to like match up the ID and all that. I'd rather just be able to see it in the lesson tab, just so that I'm able to kind of keep track as to how much I am making per day and how much I'm making per lesson as well. It could be a great way to budget in the long term. But again, these things are a little bit nitpicky. So anyway, I'll give you the floor. Is there anything that you like, any new functions that you really like on iTalki? Is there anything you would like for iTalki to add? Please let us know down in the box below. And until next time, keep smiling.